Between 2014 and 2017, we were introduced to two people who rose to the spotlight of music. One was propelled by a brother whose management saw potential, and the other was propelled by an internet presence that confused everyone.
I'm a spiritual, lyrical individual, spiritual, miracle, lyrical individual, spiritual, miracle individual.
Hey, beautiful people. In 2020 and 2021, I was properly introduced to the music artists of Joji and Billie Eilish. I love both Nectar and Happier Than Ever, and I anticipated both of their next releases. In anticipation of the next albums, I realized something in their lead-ups. Billie had a strong online presence with many partnerships and releases under popular movies. Joji remained silent. Other than announcing festivals and the Nectar finale shows, there was nothing. That was until an announcement and the release of Glimpse of Us, taking the world by storm with a beautiful piano ballad, and the rest of the album didn't quite do that. It was stripped back, going back to lo-fi pop, which many wanted after Nectar, yet didn't do enough to capture something memorable. We still had to wait a while before Billie released her next album. Then came that day of announcement with a stripped back album going back to alt bedroom pop. Yet the album was propelled to massive success with many more partnerships and deals, with Joji continuing to remain silent. With that, I realized what the releases looked like together. An EP beginning their proper music careers, a dark alternative album, a lush pop album, and a stripped back album. Viewing the albums like this gave me the motivation to analyze the two's careers, whereas one has been a critic darling and the other hasn't reached a favorable status in the industry. Here's my understanding, presenting each release to show off what the artists have done in their careers. Joji, or George Miller, has been known as Filthy Frank for a good while, with a whole bunch of channels with raunchy and shock comedy videos and music. Music is important to note because he released such comedy music under Pink Guy.
Motherfuckers stay mad like I killed the mom or something. If you really didn't care, you'd let it be, yeah.
First, a self-titled mixtape, and then an actual album that somehow got him signed with a record label. 88 Rising is that label, who are known as the label promoting Asian American artists. So what seemed was gonna go well with the third and final Pink Eye project underway, it all just stopped. He announced his departure and would stick with 88 to go under Joji and release his EP in Tongues. Joji, as George's persona, let's say, is this lo-fi hip-hop self-produced music artist who is revealed to invasive people. George kept that music private, but people kept licking it, so then he created Joji Vlogs, but didn't exactly make him feel better. Only more questions, more leaks, more pestering. But now, with an in with a label, he gets to hear what he wants. In Tongues, similar to songs he worked on for his SoundCloud, even being such songs, released to a celebration from fans who accepted George as Joji and new people who are hopelessly in love, feeling alone, or in a state of depression to rely on drugs with the realization of past mistakes. Worldstar Money was the one track that people paid attention to, and it delivers that trip-hop lo-fi feeling of something is wrong and not knowing what to do next. As for the EP as a whole, it reached 58 on the US chart with a total critic score of 59 on Album of the Year. Yeah, it wasn't really that loved among critics due to its underdeveloped nature, but this collection of music is what people have been waiting on from George.
Oh, we want real music. We want real music. We want Joji music.
And they wouldn't have to wait long. George had a constant online presence with interviews and on social media, still being the funny man that he is, just without filth, you can say. Best way to describe In Tongues is some kind of liquid melancholy. Liquid, water, things moving in water, things melting. The dude smokes underwater. It's all low-key, and it pushes forward a brand of a man helplessly in love with a person who has moved away, complicated by their mental state. That's what attracted fans, but sonically didn't breathe genius for the industry. Except only for 88 Rising. Billie, at the young age of 13 in 2015, started working with her brother Phineas, and together they released music for fun. Ocean Eyes immediately caught a lot of people's attention, especially Phineas's people. In 2016, she was signed on by Darkroom Interscope and saw the rise of industry fame throughout 2017. industry fame. I say that as throughout this whole early career, she was immediately connected with a publicist, praised by marketers, and saw partnerships with Spotify and Apple Music. All of her music for fun, and the connections led to an EP release in 2017 called Don't Smile at Me. It came to be a sleeper hit as it slowly crawled up in the charts for basically all of 2018. It was favorable among critics and eventually started reaching general listeners as well, because of her industry fame. Don't Smile at Me is electro bedroom pop backed up by hip hop instrumentation, which Billie is inspired by. It's so developed, with Phineas's production and Billie's soft, airy, raspy voice.
I've been watching you.
It's not so much a whisper as people say. It's soft, and that's what makes her music so unique. Yes, it's bedroom, but at the level of hip-hop influences, hell, it features Vince Staples.
7/4/2008, I still remember that.
And a soft feminine vocal delivery throughout the EP, it's fun and interesting. That fun is backed up by the bouncy dance choreography shown in her visuals, kind of like a high-key melancholy that is edged by the soft colors in such visuals. So while both artists delivered their unique sound of bedroom and lo-fi backed up by hip-hop elements, one clearly has it better. Joji came from, let's say, dark fame.
Who would have thought that a white boy would bring hip hop back?
Definitely a series of videos that PR and marketing wouldn't want to mention. Billie was just a young teen who had an amazing, unique voice to her singing, a talented young girl for marketing. Critically, critics didn't like the underdeveloped nature of Joji's songs.
But this is not good. This is just not a good form of music.
For self-lo-fi production and a low airy voice, there isn't a whole lot to love. As for Billie, she had Phineas, an older brother musician and songwriter who understood how to write for his little sister. So the production is developed yet still self-produced in a way with a high, airy voice. Overall, Billie had stronger strides with a nurtured career growth, and Joji had stronger strides with a fan base. A fan base that was initially invasive, but had newcomers who came in looking for music to represent the sad boy. Anyway, both of them in their respective times had albums to work on and deliver for their labels. While Billie's EP slowly crawled into popularity throughout 2018, Joji was rolling out Ballads 1. Yeah, right, the down-tempo lo-fi emo song of the year released to widespread fan appeal, especially trending on TikTok, back in its early days of cringe. But nothing amazed people about music like Joji's next single. Despite being leaked through a live performance, Slow Dancing in the Dark released to a much bigger, widespread fan appeal. And the drops being the most significant part in TikTok edits. And the microwave challenge. It is a full-on R&B track that blew away critics as well, a power ballad of sad boy love. With this track, it got proper recognition in the industry to be put on next to Gucci Mane's Wake Up in the Sky. The rest of the rollout soon followed with funny behind the scenes, and Joji has not lost comedic personality. While Can't Get Over You and Test Drive were liked by fans, it didn't reach much critically. They're loved regardless, and Joji saw it all feeling happy that his visions were achieved with the help of other producers and the studio. He hoped that the album would distract from people's hardships as it distracted him as well. As for the actual album, it was praised for the progression and sound, as well as intimate balladry of dark alternative imagery. This praise is what also got Joji to be partnered with Spotify.
The perfect emotion.
A short film for Attention. Joji is now even more in with the industry, and Slow Dancing propelled his name to listeners around the world for an albeit weak album. Progression nonetheless, 63 on Critic Score and 68 on User Score and Album of the Year, and trended with Slow Dancing making gold. Besides Joji's rollout during mid-2018 and early 2019, we did also get new singles such as a cover of Hotline Bling, Lovely, Crown, and When the Party's Over. A very heavy layered acapella that is more of Phineas' song, as it was his story for the song. Nonetheless, this was practically Billie slow dancing with an unsettling music video. You know, besides the synths and lo-fi drums. It has an acoustic piano ballad and a sub bass that booms. In fact, it was released right before Ballads 1 and was met with critical acclaim. A melancholic trend on TikTok of dance choreography.
My entire goddamn skeleton!
Like it like, say I like it like that, like it like that.
She featured on Vanity and signed a new talent contract for beauty and fashion endorsements. She had a song for Apple on a holiday commercial, a song for Roma, a partnership with YouTube for a documentary miniseries. It was until then Billie and Phineas released Bury a Friend to officially advertise Billie's debut album. When we all fall asleep, where do we go? But nothing trended for Billie like the song that came out for the album release. Bad Guy released to an instant hit status, climbing all of the charts across the world, trending on TikTok for more inspired dance choreographies.
Guy. Duh.
A low-key banger. Of course, this is where all of the whisper vocals slamming came out, usually from old men or young boys that are falling to an alt-right pop line. I didn't really find the track to be that interesting, but nonetheless, it was a bedroom pop hit that got her a full-on Spotify campaign, creating a multimedia playlist and new product features that Spotify said allow for vertical video content, custom assets, and editorial storylines. Basically, a lot of the features you see on Spotify now is because of Billie's critical acclaim and fame. They even set up a pop-up album experience for her. As for the album itself, it was popular. It's visually unsettling, yet still met with bouncy choreography. Joji's album and the visuals are too unsettling, also met with some sort of self-recording taste for music videos delving into love and sexuality. More so just girls twerking on him, yeah right. So going into comparison, each song in Asleep is extensively explained, while Ballads 1's Wikipedia looks like this. Asleep is praised for a teenage perspective and coherent storytelling pop. Ballads was praised, lack of a better word, for progression. Teenage love versus unrequited love. Billie had the partnerships, and while Joji did have some, it wasn't as much as getting beauty and fashion partnerships. Both did have extensive interviews. Both artists trended extensively, though while Billie had many songs cracking billions, Joji only had slow dancing to crack a billion. TikTok did help out the two, inspired many memes and choreographies, but Bad Guy was the one to reign supreme in streams and units. Again, this is met with Joji not having industry fame. He doesn't have critical acclaim like Billie. As for what happened next, Joji would release a brand new single, Sanctuary, immediately into a new era. Billie's tour was cut short due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and she was asked to make a song for James Bond. 2020. No Time to Die released in January and was a satisfactory addition to the James Bond universe. As for the rest of the year, Billie had to adjust her live performances and working in the background for the next album. How Joji entered the new year. Run was praised for powerful vocal delivery and atmospheric production. It was an alternative rock and R&B ballad with a visually pleasing music video. With that song, Joji came back.
The memes into my bloodstream. There are good memes.
On Jimmy Fallon to perform the song, and man, what a comeback moment. Soon after the lockdown started, Give Me Love was released to full-on pop praise and a trend on TikTok. The new album Nectar was to be released on July 10th, but was delayed due to the pandemic. But with this timing, it seemed to have also been other recent events, such as the Black Lives Matter movement of 2020. George had a message to speak as to what happened. However, it was also around the time of controversy. People on Twitter started picking up the fact that Joji was filthy frank, and that wasn't sitting right with a lot of fans that were introduced to Joji by World Star Money or slow dancing. But the controversy kind of faded out before it reached, let's say, canceled. ADA Rising literally signed George as Pink Guy. They knew what they were getting. Anyway, Nectar still released on September 25th with an additional single with Diplo. It was already obvious that Nectar was continuing the honey-like liquid visuals of the songs with the addition of space. Your Man, Upgrade, and TikTok also got music videos. Nectar had a lot more songs than Ballad's one, with quite a few more features. A sure upgrade from Trippie Redd. The album had more developed production as more producers and musicians and songwriters were brought on to make the album. Nothing bad about that, it's cool to see creatives work on something together. But what fans started to worry about that this wasn't Joji's music. At the very least, George is still credited as a songwriter and producer on every song. Well, produced only for Upgrade, Gimme Love, Run, Pretty Boy, Normal People, Afterthought, and Mr. Hollywood. Fans love the songs either way. A lot of them are beautifully produced and more developed.
Just know I'm trying my best, I'm trying my best. Caught in a river of records and dreams.
The album as a whole, though, suffers from being bloated. As Fantano puts it, needs more editing. Therefore I Am released in November of 2020 as Joji wrapped up the extravaganza to end the Nectar era prematurely as no tour would happen due to the pandemic. Back to Therefore, what a song that trended.
Stop. What the hell are you talking about?
It was a song that appeared constantly on my For You page despite me not into it at the time. Nonetheless, Therefore is another song that trended for Billie. Maybe not the same level as Bad Guy in terms of numbers, but it continued her success. A Grammy winner. Joji has yet to be nominated. So the first half of 2021 was Billie rolling out Happier Than Ever. Your Power came out to applause for something candid and confrontational, an emotional output that we haven't seen before, and it was very mature of Billie to bring this out. As per her identity as a teen woman, it is fascinating in the way that she can deliver something so emotionally charged and haunting. However, the next single caused some trouble. Lost Cause released to controversy as while men will continue to misunderstand Billie's messaging, Billie's fans began accusing her of queerbaiting. Queerbaiting, a marketing technique and entertainment where the creator of a piece of media hints at LGBTQ+ romance, but the piece never executes it. In defense of Billie, and especially what we heard from her now, she was still young and discovering her sexuality, and there was this point in the fanbase where they saw Billie as some sort of gay icon, but it was clear she saw herself as straight at the time. So this controversy was unnecessary. The album still came out, people were still flabbergasted by the title Male Fantasy, and she did apologize for the use of the word and also addressed her mocking an Asian accent. Her boyfriend at the time, though, was worse. Moving on, they broke up. Okay. As for the actual album, Happier Than Ever, people loved it with much critical praise and its soft and somber songs. A lot of the production was lush of electropop, bass, and jazz, not the dark, distorted experiments of bedroom pop of the debut.
Read my interview.
So that was a drawback for some people, especially for Fantano, but he still gave it a high score. Seriously though, I know off topic, but Fantano, this was just a poorly written review for the album as you dogged on it for a whole video as it was not as good as the debut, but you still liked the songs. And how dare you call it a sophomore slump? Well, anyway.
Yeah, this is as good as I could have ever expected a Billie Eilish album to be. You know what? I'm feeling a solid 9. I'm upgrading it. It's a solid 9. I just think every song here is brilliant in one way or another.
This is the same kind of lush production you will hear on Nectar, that departed from a dark, distorted, experimental lo-fi pop album. So pretty much Joji will go quiet after Extravaganza, but Billie will still continue her success. After a Disney Plus concert special, she finally embarked on her tour in February 2022. Both of the artists departed from the experimental sound that they introduced themselves with, going for more pop songs with production that was more clean than dirty. Both artists also had to face controversy. One more than the other. Their songs did trend. Joji's Like You Do was a hidden gem on Nectar, but that's all the album really saw for success. The single trilogy were all successful, and you would think Gimme Love was a hit, but No, it was Sanctuary. Sanctuary still came out on top with the highest amount of streams and views. The same could also be said about Billie's album, as the title track was the only one to note on release, but also reaching the highest amount of streams and views. Nothing else to note unless you count NDA and people making fun of it. So together, Joji's and Billie's albums were released to singular success of their lush sound. The difference being Billie and Phineas are still self-producing and are the sole songwriters. Joji had producers for every track and songwriters with quite a few features. Billie has yet to have a collab on an album track. Joji, as an artist, is proceeding into a singer route as the industry has yet to recognize his production or songwriting. Billie, as an artist, is continuing to proceed as a singer-songwriter, and the industry has immediately recognized it with her being a young woman. So she gets to headline Coachella, and Joji was behind The Weeknd. Coachella was a return for Joji after the Nectar finale mini tour. If he actually performed. More controversy struck when the live stream of Coachella showed Doja Cat's performance instead of Joji's. See, what happened was that Joji did perform, but having to leave midway due to health problems, which, important to note, George has had gone through for most of his life. The organizers forced him to finish the setlist, only for them to cut his footage altogether. Footage was eventually shown, and George apologized at the end and did know he will be back. Billie Eilish, on the other hand, got to headline, and it went well for her. And she got to perform Getting Older and Feel Good Inc. with Damon Albarn. Side tangent. Billie, Phineas, please do a song with Damon. I don't care if it would be his song, your song, or a gorilla song. Just please collaborate.
Well, I really fancy making some music, and everyone just looked away. So I was like, okay, I'll walk home then.
It's not that kind of lunch.
Like a right doofus.
As for Billie, she got to make music for Pixar's Turning Red. Great songs. She released another EP, Guitar Songs, also great songs. But back to Joji. In June of 2022, he did return for new music, and it took the world by storm.
Cause sometimes I look in your eyes, and that's where I find a glimpse of us.
Glimpse of Us is a piano ballad of Joji's heart-wrenching vocals. The song was a new slow dancing for Joji. Hell, eventually getting more streams than slow dancing. It was a massive TikTok sound and was critically acclaimed. It's important to note though that Glimpse of Us didn't really involve Joji. Not a producer, not a songwriter. It was a song given to him by other songwriters and the producer, Connor McDonough. At least Charlie Puth didn't put his hat in the ring for it. Sure, Joji did add some of his own changes, but the song exists not because of him, but rather people in the industry. Regardless, Glimpse of Us was a new highlight for Joji. Still no Grammy though. Not even nominated. That is crazy. The best it got was Best Editing in a Music Video from the UK Music Video Awards and nominated for Favorite Breakout Artist by the Kids' Choice Awards. Wow. That is just disrespectful considering Joji already did break out with slow dancing and full on performed on Jimmy Fallon. That is mainstream success. Well, anyway, Yukon was also released as a single, and Walaku's song, nothing to note of it. Then bam, the album was revealed to only be 9 tracks, with a demo and a freestyle. Interesting. Then the album released to an underwhelming listen.
Dog.
This is pathetic.
Die For You, beautiful, but nothing came out of note for it. People did not like Smithereens. Critical reception was terrible. General reception was terrible. It was an album that felt like the label had to demand out of Joji to fulfill a contract. While I'm not well versed in the troubles of 88 Rising, as far as I know, it's not a good label for Joji. So Smithereens was released to just check off a box. Supposedly. An album that was stripped back, which was promising, but once again went back to being underdeveloped. That's a lot of writers for a freestyle. Which, by the way, George only had 3 writing credits out of all the different songwriters and producers on the album. But he still went on tour. 3 times. However, everything in between, radio silence. Joji since then has only posted about where and when he'll be performing. No silly pictures, no new developments. He even kept quiet on the side about Plum Corp. Now, I won't discuss everything about Plum Corp, but essentially it is a label and agency that registered George's creations and characters under trademark. There is a merch store and a YouTube channel with videos that feel familiar to older fans. But even with that, news and development of Plum Corp along with Joji's involvement are just not known. So I can't say anything else about Joji when he has no social media activity, no new interviews, and only just showed up for his performances when the time came. Perhaps just to get away from the fame. Fame that was achieved for all the lo-fi pop fans that came across as underdeveloped to the industry. Billie was not faring much better. She was stuck in a rut in making new material, as well as Phineas, who wanted to quit altogether. Well, that's pretty much the only part she struggled with. She still had a lot of success. 2023 for Billie still saw the start of her acting career and basically made her own Glimpse of Us of the summer. Just instead, it was a song written about not knowing what to make next, written by her and Phineas, and is for the biggest movie of 2023. What Was I Made For hit straight in the gut, heartbreaking yet beautiful in its words and melody. Like I said, the important difference is that Billie and Phineas made the songs themselves. With that though, the two resumed writing and production for Billie's next album with new optimism after Made For success. So in 2024, Hit Me Hard and Soft was announced with no promotional singles. 10 songs, stripped back to alt bedroom pop, much like Smithereens going back to Joji's lo-fi pop. Billie treats Hit Me Hard as one coherent story with songs that connect to each other, which I like, but still ended up having different music videos for a few songs that aren't really that visually mind-blowing. Going into comparison though, both visuals of Hit Me and Smithereens showcase a self-recording video camera vibe with a few exceptions. But back to Hit Me, it's a solid album with critical acclaim and fan acclaim, especially for the songs that got music videos. Lunch was the lesbian anthem, Chihiro was a sonic journey, Birds of a Feather was the fun, dark friendship song. As for others, Blue finally came out, and it's all pretty, yet heartbreaking. The album could be seen as the most powerful and mature songwriting and production from Billie, though as Fantano puts it, it expends her breakthrough charm. See its missing, bouncing choreography, hip-hop elements, and the engaging perspective through the dark and distorted instrumentations. Smithereens was also lost on Joji's touch on production and the experimental lo-fi pop, yet Hit Me was still successful. It's still a self-produced, developed album. Many of the songs trended online everywhere, and Billie still continues to be beloved by the industry. More interviews, more partnerships. She's in Fortnite. She collabed with Charlie XCX for a big brat anthem of the summer. She closed for the Olympics. She's been on SNL once again with Apple Music and now even Amazon Music. Her image is everywhere with a massive social media presence, while Joji just continues to remain hidden. Perhaps Joji has no reason to have a presence. He has no direct partnerships. Billie does, and that keeps her label and sponsors happy. But as of now, she is on a world tour, and Joji breaking the every 2 years pattern for music. Also, Billie didn't win any Grammys for Hit Me. I want to remind you all watching, making it to the end, that I love and respect both Billie and George as artists. I love the art that they create, and I don't want to make harsh assumptions about them. But when comparing them, it's interesting to see them have an audience, high amounts of streams/units, and yet Billie is more recognized across the world more than Joji, judging by their online presence and awarded artistry. Again, look at their Wikipedia pages. So after looking at their similar discographies and what they have done to promote their art, the answer is that Billie is industry and Joji is niche. That sounds weird, right? Look at those numbers. Joji is successful and has an audience. Yeah, a niche audience. There are over 8.2 billion people on Earth, and a massive portion of that listens to Joji. Over and over again. Glimpse of Us and Slow Dancing were just songs that broke out of nicheness. Do you know about like those artists that you probably never heard of before, or either like #1 on the charts, high units sold, or trending audio on TikTok? Yeah, that has been Joji's career. Say other examples like The Living Tombstone or CG5. TLT has been popping up more and more for a while now, but that's only because of their FNAF 1 song. CG5 became a massive figure in songs for TikTok. Okay, here's more examples. Quadeca has a huge audience, but he's not mainstream. Hell, Gorillaz has a massive audience of fans, and yet they haven't made a big impact in music since Feel Good Inc. That hurts to say, but it's true. They do have partnerships, but they are really a one and done deal just so they can have money for the next project, which is how it's been since Humans. All of this is because the industry is tough. In the industry, they expect hit after hit, and that's what Billie and Phineas has been able to do. Ocean Eyes, Bad Guy, Crown, When the Party's Over, My Future, Therefore I Am, Happier Than Ever, guitar songs, What Was I Made For, Lunch, Birds of a Feather, all of which have been praised with critical acclaim with paired albums that are also beloved. Joji doesn't have critical acclaim, with Billie being able to go beyond niche. Also to note, Billie's career started as a fun endeavor that turned being invaded by people, her fans. And George, as Joji, started off with invasive fans that dwindled out over time, more or less. Of course, with George being gone from social media for a long time now, there's a bunch of people speculating on where he is right now. I'd rather not do that, but I do hope that he continues to make art. As for Billie, I do hope she continues her success so she can continue releasing her art.
I'm a spiritual, lyrical, individual, spiritual, miracle, lyrical, individual, spiritual, miracle, individual.
Thank you for watching. This is my first big analysis video essay, so I hope everyone enjoyed it. Leave a like and subscribe to see more upcoming essays and my creations. And I'll see you all later.